Hello friends, welcome to the program. The topic chosen for the program is current social problems relating to education in India. The objectives set for the present lecture are to have a brief understanding about education of India in social context, to know about the social problems faced by education system in India, to know about the specific problems of education in urban and rural areas of India, to understand the flaws underlying present education system of India, and lastly, to understand the possible resolutions of flaws in education system of India. Dear friends, India is the largest democracy with remarkable diversity among its population, which makes up about 17% of the world's population. Almost 70% of Indian population is rural. The adult literacy rate stands at about 60%, and this is significantly lower in women and minorities. Education in India comprises of government, government-aided and private institutions. With a population growth rate of 1.5%, there is tremendous pressure on education system to provide quality education at affordable price and improve the literacy rate. The ethnic diversity in India poses challenge to implement consistent education nationwide and makes it difficult to offer education tailored to specific social segments. Education in India faces many challenges so far as its social structure is concerned. Some of these challenges are: number one, equality of educational opportunities. In India, discriminatory attitude towards men and women has existed for generations and affects the lives of both genders. Although the Constitution of India has granted men and women equal rights, gender disparity still remains. Gender discrimination violates human rights. Rights are given to all human beings, not only for men, but also for women. Gender discrimination can be further understood under certain headings, including: first, the birth, the cultural construct of Indian society, which reinforces gender bias against men and women with varying degrees and variable contexts against the opposite sex, has led to the continuation of India's strong preference for male children. Female infanticide and sex-selective abortions adopted and strongly reflect the low status of Indian women. A decline in the child sex ratio, 0 to 6 years age, was observed with the India's 2011 census reporting that it stands at 914 females against 1,000 males, dropping from 927 in 2001, the lowest since India's independence. The demand for sons among wealthy parents is being satisfied by the medical community through the provisions of illegal services of fetal sex determination and sex-selective abortions. Second is childhood to adulthood and education. Although literacy rates are increasing, female literacy rate lags behind the male literacy rate. Literacy for females stands at 65.46% compared to 82.14% for males as per census report of 2011. An underlying factor for such low literacy rate is parents' perception that education for girls is a waste of resources, as their daughters would eventually live with their husbands' families and they will not benefit directly from the education investment. Third is adulthood onwards. Discrimination against women has contributed to gender wage differentials, with Indian women on average earning 64% of what their male counterparts earn for the same occupation and level of qualification. This has led to their lack of autonomy and authority. Although equal rights are given to women, equality may not be well implemented. In practice, land and property rights are weakly enforced. with customary laws widely practiced in rural areas. The second issue with the education system of India is child marriage. While it's not clear if child marriage causes school dropout or vice versa, it's clear that child marriage often means the end to a girl's formal education. When a girl drops out of school, she is denied her right to education and the ability to develop the skills and knowledge needed to live a healthy, fulfilling life, and one where she can earn an income and contribute to her family and community. Girls tend to drop out of school in the preparatory times, before marriage or shortly afterwards. Once a girl is out of school, she is more vulnerable to child marriage and early pregnancy. Returning to school can be difficult too. Married girls who would like to continue schooling may be both practically and legally excluded from doing so. Third one is poverty. The effects of poverty on children are wide-reaching and can lead to lifelong struggles, especially when young people don't receive full education. Poverty and education are inextricably linked because people living in poverty may stop going to school so that they can work, which leaves them without literacy and numeracy skills they need to further their career. Their children in turn are in a similar situation years later, with little income and few options but to leave school and work. Fourth one is the specific problems of education in urban and rural areas. The concept and phenomena of education based on school-going is of modern origin in India. Education in the past was restricted to upper castes. However, today, to lead a comfortable life in this fast-changing world, education is seen as the most influential agent of modernization. The educational attainment in terms of enrollment and retention in rural India generally corresponds to the hierarchical order. While the upper castes have traditionally enjoyed and are enjoying these advantages, the scheduled castes and other backward castes children have lagged behind in primary schooling. Studies have revealed that children of backward castes are withdrawn from school at an early age by about 8 or 9 years. An important reason for withdrawal of children from school is the cost and work needs of poor households. Income and caste are typically correlated with lower caste having lower incomes and higher castes having better endowment in terms of land, income and other resources. The very poor children are enrolled in the municipal schools because it provides a number of incentives such as lower expenditure on books, uniforms, fees, etc. The well-off children go to the private schools where English and computers are given more importance. The tendency in favor of private schools in rural areas is influenced by people's perception of private schools as a means of imparting quality education in English medium. Parental illiteracy is another cause for lack of interest to become literates on one hand. Many rural children enrolled are thus first generation learners who come from illiterate families. Thus they have to single-handedly grapple with school life, mastering language and cognitive skills without parental help and guidance. On the other hand, most of these illiterate parents do whatever is possible to educate their children because education for them acts as a vehicle of social mobility. Moreover, education and the subsequent attainment of town jobs is often looked upon by the many of these rural families, especially families belonging to lower castes, as a means to break out of their position in caste hierarchy. The religious belief and practices of a community can also largely impact the overall attitudinal and behavioral profile of an individual or group. In the Indian context, religion has a sway over people's mind and exerts a great influence over their behavior. The motivation and attitudes of the people towards education are also molded to a large extent by their religious beliefs. Fifth one is our present education system. Our present education system also has certain flaws, including, number one, our education system promotes a rat race. Our education system basically promotes a rat race among our children. Students have to read and mug up entire textbook without any understanding of it. So a student who scores 90 out of 100 and comes first actually remains a rat. He or she does not have any analytical skill that a child must have. It's time to change our education system. Second one, education doesn't build persona of a child. Unfortunately, our education system is not helping to develop persona or personality of a child. Remember, it's personality that is more important than academic qualifications. Number third, no critical analysis, only following the establishment. Our children are not able to do critical analysis of anything. For example, our history, culture and religion. They take the line of establishment or the view of predominant majority. They are simply not able to look things from their own perspective. If we want our society should become a lot better, then we must develop a culture of looking at things critically. Number fourth is teachers themselves are not trained and efficient. To make things worse, our teachers themselves are not sufficiently trained to teach kids. They do not have proper training that how they are going to impart values in children that are going to change the future of country. If they can teach properly, then the government does not have enough salary to pay. Hence, to improve our educational system, teachers should be better trained and more importantly, better paid. Fifth one is the medium of instruction. This is also a big problem that needs to be addressed. We are not able to decide on the medium of instruction of our educational system. Still emphasis is laid on English, where majority of children cannot understand the language. So how are they going to understand what teachers are teaching? Moreover, subjects like mathematics, physics and arts have nothing to do with the medium of communication. Hence, overemphasis on English could be wrong. Sixth one is education given is irrelevant to job market. This is perhaps the most apparent failure of our education system, that after completing graduation in any discipline, students are not able to get jobs. It's simply because skills that are required in a job market are simply not present in a fresh graduate. Number 7 is missing innovation and creation because only apping West. If we talk about the privileged children in India, then even they are not able to innovate and create new things. Although they have everything that a child needs, but still they lack something in them. Eighth one, students happy in getting a highly paid salary job but lacks ambition to become entrepreneur. Now in college campuses, it has become a common thing that every young student is interested in getting a job that pays them well. However, they would never like to become an entrepreneur. This lack of ambition does not allow our country to excel in any field. This attitude of our children, making them slaves of few multinational companies. Therefore, our education system should be designed to make our children a successful entrepreneurs, rather going for salary jobs. Next is the gross failure of our education system to end social disparity. The last but not the least failure of our education system is after so many years it has not been able to reduce social disparity in our country. In fact, social disparity has gone up. It is such a shame that education itself has become a tool for creating divisions. A child of a rich parent will get good education, and child of a poor parent cannot afford even a basic education. According to Amartya Sen, primary education in India suffers not only from the inadequate allocation of resources, but often enough also from terrible management and organization. To Sen, management and organization of schools is still in a terrible state in India. That means there are three defects in the present education system. The first is the physical environment in which the student is taught. The second is the curriculum or the content which he or she is taught. And the third is the teaching method or the teacher who is teaching. These outdated school systems do not allow for a child's mind and personality to develop. Moreover, the knowledge imparted is not continuous and are disjointed fragments of information that are arranged in the form of different pieces in the syllabus. Number 6 is most important resource, the teacher. The protagonist of the educational system and the most important resource for quality education, the teacher, in reality has the feeblest voice in the matter of concern. The rural primary school teacher occupies the lowest position in the hierarchy. Apart from teaching, he or she is expected to bear the burden of many other assignments, such as collecting census, propagating family planning programs, conducting poverty surveys, etc. The teacher in a village acts as the sole multi-purpose village functionary and is expected to perform whatever function the government finds necessary at any time. This problem becomes more acute in the case of village school having a single or at most 2 teachers. Lack of motivation on the part of teachers who generally are academically low qualified and have chosen this profession as a last resort is a serious problem. Moreover, these teachers are lowly paid. The result is that the teachers tend to give up. Next is the poor global ranking of institutes. India's education system has been at the center of vociferous debate for several years now. Despite the presence of the prestigious IITs and IIMs, Indian education institutions and universities have had a remarkably poor run when it comes to global institutional rankings. According to the reputed QS World University Rankings in 2015, no Indian university or educational institution was listed in the top hundreds. Only 2 institutions, the Indian Institution of Science Bangalore and the Indian Institute of Technology Delhi, made it to the top 200s in the ranking, dominated by the American institutions. Next is the gap between education provided and the industry required education. There's a definite disconnect between the skills and the aptitude of the majority of graduates and the needs of the industry, according to Ashok Reddy, Managing Director and co-founder of the recruitment agency Teamly Service India. At entry level, you expect a graduate to come with certain skills such as communication, ability to speak English and work as a team, and basic computer knowledge. For a technical graduate, functional skills in the area of specialization are must, but these are absent today. The company refers to a geographic mismatch, a sector mismatch, and a skill mismatch in the country, which may be unnecessarily confining as many as 300 million people to low productivity jobs, among them many graduates. India's young are now increasingly looking for ways to enhance their skills while pursuing a college degree. Our current curriculum is 70% theory and 30% practical. There is no scope for skill development. There are many educated women who are not finding the right jobs. We need to find ways and create avenues to employ more women. The next one is lack of infrastructure. Schools are supposed to be the temples of learning, but the average primary educational institution in India is likely to be a dinge, a place without access to electricity, toilets, and with too few teachers. True, just having great school infrastructure is not sufficient to improve learning outcomes, but it is certainly a necessary condition. Now, dear students, let's have a look over the possible resolutions to the flaws in education system of India. Some of the possible resolutions of the flaws in education system of India include: number first, adoption of technology. Effective use of technological tools in teaching has many benefits. Technological intervention can cut the barriers of region, language, etc. Education can reach the doorstep of learner. Number second, appoint mentors. In ancient India, the student considered their guru or teacher next only in importance to God. The teachers considered it their human duty to impart the right education to their students. Unfortunately, in the modern education system, the relationship between the student and teacher has been diluted to a large extent. Much more than books, students imbibe their teachings from teachers. As we recreate our education system, the importance of building student-teacher relationship should be sufficiently stressed. For this to happen, we need better teacher-student ratio and new concept of appointing out-of-class guides or mentors to whom students can turn to for not just clearing their conceptual doubts, but in other advice pertaining to their education and life. Number third is inclusive education. Growth in education sector should incorporate all sections of society like rural, urban, poor, women, backward classes, specially abled, etc., which is what we call inclusive education. Number fourth is breaking barriers. In recent years, some conscious individuals have jumped up new ideas to refashion India's university education. In recent years, Nobel laureate Amartya Sen was at the forefront of the Nalanda revival process. Such process should make global culture and aim at producing truly global students who think of themselves as global citizens. One of the underlying features of such new universities has to be access to the best professors and minds of the time. Student and teacher exchange programs with institutions across the world. Greater attempts to attract good teachers from not just India but across the globe and increased use of information technology to connect students are the key components of the effort to build new world-class universities. Number fifth is active participation of the private sector. To encourage the active participation of the private sector in national development, it's more forcefully advocated when public resources are projected to be inadequate to meet needs. And all India education services should be established which will decide the policies of education in consultation with educationists. Dear students, we may conclude that we need to adapt to create a global culture, to have world-class educational institutions, borrow ideas in pedagogy from the best institutions around the world, and move from a top-down mode of education to a more organic culture of learning. For a country that aspires to become a major global player over the next quarter of century, mediocre education is not the way forward. If we aim to dominate the global discourse, we need to educational institutions that not only create skilled human resources, but also boosts indigenous research and development, power the country's intellectual and entrepreneurial leaderships, and instill scientific thinking among the masses. We also need institutions that can become a major draw for international students to help obtain the twin purpose of earning foreign reserve and spreading the country's soft power. Dear students, I hope you have understood this content and enjoyed the program. Thanks for watching.